We're going to stay with the cars for the time being, albeit a touch more sedate than the rally. This is an annual favourite. These are the Queenstown Classic cars.
$19.90 and the Skyline Queenstown Classic rides again. This year the weather's hardly ideal, but heavy rain hasn't kept the crowds away, and the cars they've come to watch are once again a superb collection of the best historic and classic performance vehicles in the country. Single-seaters, grand tourers or sports cars, they all have a story to tell and a fond place in their fanatical owners' hearts. There's bound to be a repeat of last year's E-Type Jaguar duel between Jeremy Stace and Ray Larson. Both are in early 60s models of these lovable 3.8-litre rockets. There's Graham Hill's 30-year-old XK150. Wayne Graves' 1973 Porsche 911E. Larry O'Connor's lap record holder, the 20-year-old 454 cubic inch Corvette Stingray. Malcolm Stewart's ex-factory Audi Quattro turbo rally car. A great day to have four-wheel drive.
On the point of aquaplaning.
On a dry track, Larry O'Connor is almost unbeatable here, but the Audi factory knew a thing or two when they took the rally world by storm in the mid-80s. Malcolm Stewart's Quattro is no longer eligible in rallies, but it makes a superb wet-weather road car. Something O'Connor discovered in his desperate chase to keep up.
I went a little bit fast in the practice session there. Not quite used to the wet conditions. We had the car set up for dry conditions. We'd lowered the gear ratios and it was just too much of a handful under braking, and it started aquaplaning and I couldn't avoid the cliff at the side there. Done a bit of frontal damage to the right-hand side, nothing too serious. We'll be back next year, rebuild it.
The pre-68 single-seaters and sports races come thundering off the grid, led out by Ralph Smith's Kiwi favourite, the Lycoming Special. Immediately behind are Russell Greer's Stanton Corvette and Rob Bolt's Allard J2. While Smith tackles the wet with gusto, Bolt starts to open a gap on Greer, and these three start to spread the rest of the pack. Ralph Smith in the Lycoming looks like running away altogether until the wet road catches him out too, luckily without damage. This lets Rob Bolt through, and seconds later Smith's away again, having lost only one place. With only 50 metres between them, Smith sets out on the chase, snatching seconds back off Bolt every lap. Eileen McMillan sewing up third place in the Ransley Riley, oblivious to this leader's duel. And George Wallace in the 61-year-old Austin Sevens revelling in the wet, keeping much more modern machinery at bay. Wogan in the stretch Speedway Sprinter can't quite make out this tar seal surface, certainly not as well as Eileen McMillan anyway. But the battle absorbing the crowd was the front-end dice, getting closer and closer as Ralph Smith looked for every possible way round Rob Bolt. Eventually the determination pays off and Smith gets by in the straight. Lindsay Wogan still hasn't mastered the wet. On the final lap, and Smith in the Lycoming has opened the smallest of gaps again to take the checkered flag, with Rob Bolt in the Allard settling for second. Ralph Smith confirmed as the race winner. Local driver Rob Bolt is over a second slower on his quickest lap. The earlier handicap race was won by Dunedin's Christopher Reed, and Eileen McMillan in the Ransley Riley took out the second handicap. The field for the post-68 single-seaters and sports racing cars is a mixture of Lotus 7s, 7 replicas, Formula Fords, a Chevron, and several backyard hybrid specials. John Williams in the yellow 7 replica is first to make his mark. But if quick practice times are any indication, Invercargill's Barry Leach in the silver and black car, number 121, is the man to beat. Within a couple of laps, Leach is leaning all over Williams as the two replica 7s in a shower of spray size each other up. Ken McGraw makes up the front trio, and the entire field struggles to maintain traction on wet race lines. A lap later and Leach makes his big move down the outside, hoping his wide corner entry will pay off. It sticks and his quick exit line gains him yards on Williams. This is confident, aggressive driving from Leach. And the pace is beginning to show further down the field. Williams certainly hasn't given up. He's still applying the pressure. And while the remainder of this field of enthusiastic amateurs continues to slip and slide around the Queenstown streets, it's a case of good drivers shine when the weather doesn't. Natural skill will always conquer the conditions if a driver has a cool head and enough concentration. A relatively comfortable win in the end for Barry Leach in the 86 replica Lotus 7. He built it himself in Invercargill. John Williams holds on for second place after leading the first laps. Dave Harris won the first handicap race in the Formula Ford, and Lawrence Nola took out the second handicap in his RE Special. The pre-68 sports cars are a fabulous mixture. MGs, Daimler SP250s, E-Type, Jags, Triumph TR2s, Austin Healey's, a Morgan, a Jaguar XK150 and some specials. Ray Larson in the red 62 E-Type is a local and immediately the pace setter. He's had many a dice with Jeremy Stace in the silver E-Type, but in this race seems to have stolen the lead comfortably in the wet. The midfielders are left to have their own race. It's a hot pace to maintain with minimum traction, and Stace will need a desperate move to improve. Next time round, he's ready to attack Larson's flank, but Larson keeps his line, and Stace can't stop quick enough to steal it. So Larson is relieved of pressure and lopes away. The pace looks sedate by comparison back in the pack. The X-Factory E-Type seems to have this one all wrapped up with a few laps remaining. The MGs, TRs, Daimlers and hybrids are locked in another race altogether. For their drivers, the pleasure is in mastering the conditions and simply giving the cars an outing in competition, which is after all what most of them were built to be used for. The only way you get better at this game is with miles on the road or track. Still punishing the red E, Ray Larson blasts down the home straight to finish, winning the race by 50-odd metres from Jeremy Stace, who, try as he may, never quite recovered from a late braking manoeuvre that didn't come off. Larson also won the first handicap race in style, while David Clearwater in the Ferrari Mark I took out the second handicap. There are some pretty impressive machines in the post-68 sports and GT race too, and on a dry day it might be more even. But who can match a purpose-built factory rally car with four-wheel drive today? The short answer is no one here. Malcolm Stewart's a very experienced driver, and this 2.2-litre turbocharged 5-cylinder Quattro is one hot set of wheels, ideally suited to transforming raw horsepower into stable forward motion. Kevin Woods in the quickest of the Porsche 911s can already see his chances disappearing. The Danny Burke farmer just powered away from the rest with 300-plus horsepower and a virtually clear road. By race end, Malcolm Stewart has comprehensively dealt to a mixed field of fine machinery, and the speed differential is very obvious indeed. Kevin Woods is more than 4 seconds a lap down on the Quattro in second place. Philip Ansell takes some consolation from a win in the first handicap race, and Scott O'Donnell won the second in another Alfa Romeo. The traditional flying farewell is the last chance of the meeting to make up for the little errors, breakdowns, missed corners or missed opportunities during the class races. Right from the outset, though, it seems like another Quattro benefit, as Malcolm Stewart warms to the task and looks for even faster lap times.
Big Mustang.
There are Alphas, a Mustang, Minis, Jaguars, Escorts, a Plymouth, a Morgan, a Lancia, all thrown together and left to sink in the wake of a carnivorous Quattro. Most of them seem positively pedestrian, even though they're being driven far faster than you or I could hope to go around Queenstown's sleepy streets. Stewart doesn't bother about trying to make a race of it. He's chasing quick lap times, and he's already put one in of nearly 7 seconds better than the rest. And down to the line for another convincing victory. No doubt they'll all be back next year for another chance to challenge Queenstown's downtown street circuit.
Lovely to see those old motors, obviously cherished. Good to see them out on the road too. Once they're on the road, there is a certain disregard for keeping the car in tip-top shape. You're with Countrywide Bank Grandstand. Let's look ahead now at